guys enjoy this video, remember that you guys should subscribe, ring that notification bell, and follow me over on social media. You can also join the public CalPals community Discord server in order to chat with me and the other members. If you want to get some awesome rewards and support us directly, take a look at our Patreon. Some of these rewards include early access to all of our videos, from reactions to discussions, as well as being able to have us react or discuss whatever ship, theory, or topic that you want. Now, on to the video. Today we are going to share with you guys RWBY After the Fall, so this is going to be our non-spoiler review. We are going to do a spoiler sort of discussion and analysis, but we did want to sort of share with you guys our thoughts without spoiling you guys, because some of you may be like, well, should I get it? Should I buy it on Amazon or Kindle or, at your local bookstore sort of thing when it comes out in 2 days. Or in 1 day, depending on when we upload this. But yeah, we were able to get this book early. It's not an early review copy.
Sorry.
This is not sponsored.
I was able to get the book early because I know that for some reason Indigo Canada gives out books early. Like, I got Hank Green's book early.
Yeah.
I've gotten this book early.
And so, I don't know why, but people were sending pictures to me of them going into Indigo, which is a Canadian bookstore, and it just lined with the shelves of the RWBY book. And so I was just like, yeah, so it may have come out early, because at first I thought Hunter got it off of Amazon, and so that's what I responded to the writer, who is very active on Twitter. So if you guys read this, share him some love. Show him some love, all that stuff. Share your love with him. But yeah, and so it's sort of one of those things where it's like, oh, I thought Amazon fucked up. And no, it was just like all of Canada got the book early. And so finally it pays to be Canadian. And so yeah, we are super excited. I love this book. I love this book with all my heart. Team Coffee's my favorite team now, other than Team RWBY. Sorry, Team Juniper, but y'all just got fucked by this book, because there's so much depth and so much good character development in this book. But first, Hunter read it first, so I would like him to go first, and then I'll sort of respond.
I love how even as.
But yeah, it's very shiny, and it says "Trouble is Brewing" at the back, which is a pun.
And they also
because they're
have
Team Coffee, and they're brewing the coffee, Hunter. Get it?
I didn't even get
okay,
that.
anyways. Somebody on Twitter pointed that out to me. I can't take credit
One
for
thing
that.
that's objectively strange is on the cover, Velvet's face looks weird.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they did a pretty good job, with the cover art, but you never get to pick that, as an author, or all that stuff, so they did it. That was Hunter's cell phone. That's okay. We're gonna keep going. Anyway, go ahead.
I don't know if I've mentioned this before, Cal, but I read a lot of RWBY fanfiction.
Oh no, you've never mentioned it. Not even once.
And I thought because of that, I thought I was prepared for this book. And because I've just read so much, it's a really popular character to do Velvet and Coco, really. So I thought, I had a preconception going in of what a Team Coffee book would look like. I thought that, Before the Fall was going to be like the Coco and Velvet Variety Hour.
After the Fall.
After the Fall. It was going to be Coco.
You show a little before the Fall, though.
There is a bit of that. In the show, the only characters with, recognizable personalities in Team Coffee are Coco and Velvet. And so I thought it would be, the two of them out in the wilderness, working out their traumas. But what instead I got was a whole, it really is like the Team Coffee book. The author utilizes all the characters, their relationships are believable and tangible. I'm reading this and okay, it's reasonable. It seems believable.
So much love in there.
Just the way that you see a group of people who've known each other for a very long time, the way they communicate and they talk literally sometimes without words. In more ways than one, I suppose, but we have to get to that later.
Yeah.
I really, the last thing I thought this book would make me do is, care about Fox. I really thought
Fox is the best fucking character.
And then I read the book, and Fox is objectively speaking, we now have a canon reason why he doesn't talk that much in the show, but he's the funniest member and most likable member.
He really is, and I'm pretty sure. So somebody said, I don't know if this is true, but somebody said that last year at one of the RWBY panels, Miles was like, you guys are gonna fucking love Fox, and of course everyone's just like, Fox has never spoken, what? And so
really,
now...
Coco and Velvet were the only...
Miles was so fucking right, and I can't wait to talk about that.
And afterwards, I got the feeling that, this kind of version of Team... I almost called them Team Velvet. Team Coffee. You could really put them in any, situation, and it would be entertaining, it'd be enjoyable. More so in some ways than even Team RWBY, in a lot of ways. But even with that, elastic quality that you can put them anywhere, they did really give them an interesting plot that's not really like any other RWBY media.
And so to sort of explain that, Coffee is basically escorting a bunch of vacuoian. They say Vacian, I think, something like that. Vacian, like in the book. I don't know how to pronounce it. Like refugees from other tribes. And so they basically explain that when a settlement goes down, they sort of merge into one big settlement to live. Because that's the whole thing in Vacuo. It's being strong to survive and all that stuff. But you know, one of the points in the book is like, hey, these aren't normal. Like, there are grim attacks, but these are grim attacks, right? And so, you know, there's that sort of thing going on.
It felt more like a thriller in a lot of weird ways. That there was
you
were in a desperate situation. They were out in the desert. They do a really good job of explaining how harsh the desert is. Yeah. And everyone's the tensions are rising and
because there's the heat stroke. They have names for everything. So it's like the heat stroke and the winds and like the sinkholes. Just all of these like dangers. Like in some ways, Vacuo is more dangerous because of the animals that are in there, and we won't talk about that because some of those are spoilers. Than the actual grim. So like there are weird ass creatures just in the middle of the desert. But yeah, I thought this was supposed to be person versus environment. Like that's what I thought that they were doing. But then as you sort of go through the book, you realize something's up and like, oh, there is a villain here. It's not just fighting against the elements.
It's more of a thriller that like you think the grim attacks are random, then they appear not to be, and the stakes are heightening, and then it gets weirder and weirder, and you don't know who's with who. And it escalates very nicely, and I did really enjoy it.
I think the writer is really great with that. Like, you can tell that he has some skill, and if you look him up, he has won a lot of awards. Like, he has, because there's structure. Like, books have structure. They have sort of, you know, hero's journey and all of that. And, like, just because you, like, sort of make that structure to a T doesn't mean that your writing's good. But this person has obviously, the author has obviously mastered sort of the structure of what will make a good book, but also not sticking to that structure too hard. You understand what I'm saying?
I'd make an argument that I feel like to argue the smartest move that the book had was its flashback portions, because as we mentioned earlier, there's some stuff that's before the fall. We see Coffee's initiation when they first met
each other
various times in the series where like they walked off screen from Team RWBY and we see what they continue to do.
I cried so much during this book.
You need to really calm your shit, okay?
No, but it was so good, Hunter! And I just have all these feelings inside, which is why I can't wait to do our not spoiler review, which you guys should watch.
This is why I'm in charge of the not spoiler one, or the
Hunter has to control me because I'm literally like
so it's not an hour-long video. It was a really excellent decision because I feel like they kind of were limited that in the book it wasn't as hard character growth of these characters. It was kind of like they started as a family and then they ended as a family within like the bits that take place in Vacuo. What's good about the flashback bits is that it gives context to their struggles and it makes it even just gives you like little peaks. But it makes sense. Like you'll see those little glimpses.
And everyone has a nice arc throughout the book. And I don't want to sort of spoil too much.
I would say their arcs are better in the flashbacks than they are in the actual Vacuo.
That's the thing, though. The flashbacks are connected. Yes. So I'm just going to use this as a very vague example, but a character has sort of a backstory that is shown, and then they later have to do something that is related to that backstory, and it's sort of something that sort of comes full circle. Or even, that happens a couple of times, actually, but again, we'll talk about that in our not spoiler review. But at the very beginning of the book, it seems like, and I'm going to say this because I don't think it's that much of a spoiler, there are these like sort of four things going on with each character. And with Velvet, in the first like prologue, it's that she hates Vacuo. And then by the end happens. You know what I mean? Like that's an example where she starts hating Vacuo, and then by the end, that sort of conflict is resolved in a way, and I don't want to tell you guys how that is done. Like, she probably still hates Vacuo a little bit. But obviously, if you guys watch our not spoiler review, I'll go into that. And
it also felt like a RWBY book. Like, it wasn't just a bunch of kids sitting around talking about their problems. Like, there was action, there was comedy. I was genuinely surprised by how good it was.
Like the action scenes?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Like the combats were like fast, they were creative, because realistically they had like 4 fights in the same desert environment, and like that can get old, but they kept it fresh, which I thought was impressive.
And I think you also see the writer's true understanding of every single RWBY character, like especially Coffee, because obviously he would have spent the most time with them. But even when you see, like, you've seen Team RWBY in the flashbacks, I don't think that's a spoiler. You see some other teams in the flashbacks as well, and it's sort of like, there is such mastery in those characters, and obviously Miles and Carrie did help, right? So he could, get help in that department.
They did story, but not
understanding the
character.
weapons, you know what I mean? Like understanding like how Velvet's weapon works, for instance. Like all of that sort of intricate understanding. Like you can tell this writer is probably also a fan of RWBY, or at least has watched enough that he understands what he's doing. Because I think that's the worry with anything, like with, I don't want to say outsourcing, but outsourcing that, like, will the writer, like, do a good job? But you can tell that, like, this writer has done his homework or his research, or maybe he is even a fan. I would say that it seems he's very engaged in the community as the book was coming out, and so I would say that, he probably is a genuine fan of the show and genuinely likes the show and loves these characters.
There are a few things, like, with the book.
And I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay, but this is the one thing is that I felt that it was, I guess ultimately I can appreciate that.
So I want to talk about what you're talking about, but I'm just going to
But I need to say it first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool your shit.
I know.
It was, I felt that, it didn't bother me that much, but it kind of felt like how I felt with the last episode, like last couple seasons of Game of Thrones, that they just filled it with inside jokes. Like there was too many inside jokes. Like I get it, it's also a gun. And I think there was a...
I liked those though. They didn't happen too much. I counted all of them, or at least I
created a list. I created a list of all of them that popped up, and like it didn't grind me, but after a while, it just seemed a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I felt like the book was.
This book doesn't have it usually. Like when my mom brings me books from work, they're early review copies, and so they'll obviously, and so I'm used to them having sort of target audience information on the back. Because the books that my mom gets at work, they usually do. This one doesn't, and so I'm debating whether this is supposed to be middle grade fiction, so that's 9 to 12, or a young adult novel. And I would lean over more towards middle grade.
I think it would be middle grade.
But there are some parts where I'm like, oh no.
Well, I guess one of my cons in the book is
because I was trying to explain this. It's marked as young adult on Amazon, but I was trying to explain this to another YouTuber I was talking to, because I tried to publish a book, so I know about all of sort of the genre categories. Like, this isn't necessarily written like a young adult novel. And I don't mean that in a demeaning way, like I think it is very well written, but it does read to me like I've read both middle grade fiction that is like phenomenal and both, young adult fiction, right? But it does seem like it does fall into more middle grade.
I would say that, and I feel like its middle grade kind of book statics sort of limits it in a lot of ways. I feel like there are some dark moments in the book that
they didn't need to be any darker.
Here's the thing, here's the thing, here's the thing, you are unnaturally devoted to this book. Most people will not have your reactions.
I feel upset.
Like, there's dark moments that arguably could have been more impactful had they been given just a little more time to settle.
They impacted me, okay?
Sometimes it felt like conflict just sort of appears and brushed under the rug, like between the Velvet and Yatsu, which I'm conflicted about. Yatsuhashi, same thing.
Yeah.
Because on one hand, it's like, I understand,
I would say that there is a reason for all the sudden mood changes. Like, there's a canon reason in the book that
I understand why you
right?
did it, but part of me is like, I wonder what it would look like if they kept it a little more, not grotesquely longer, but just like maybe a few more pages. And more room to, I wish those like conflict moments could have been given more room to breathe. It kind of felt like they were chopped up a bit in the flashbacks. I almost like, I feel like if you just made things a little more quick, a little more slow, I feel like you could add...
a little more...
No, sorry, a little more slow in some areas.
And quick in other areas? Is that what you...
I guess so. I meant more slow than quick.
Okay.
I feel like it could be close to 50 pages longer, but I also understand that if it's like a middle grade fiction, like it taps out at about 300 pages. So I understand that he had consent.
Like there are certain limitations, especially if it's the first published book. And so it's not his first published book, but this is the first RWBY book. And so usually it's about what they can afford to take a chance on. So it will usually be the minimum word requirement. And so I think that, I don't remember what category this is or what genre, but like, for example, 50,000 words is like sort of the like minimum that a young adult novel could get, but they do suggest sort of like, there's a minimum and a maximum, and they suggest for you to stick like to the 50,000 if you're a new writer, basically. In some category, I don't remember all of them anymore, but I remember I had a list of how many words things were supposed to be. I think for a book like this, it would be 40,000. I'm not
I
sure.
feel like they could bump it up a little bit, and I feel like they could give a lot more room for some of these moments, because they were already good, but I feel like they could have been better. I also felt that, once again, this is just its children's book, but I feel like some of its prose, like, they make it less complex. Like, you see this a lot, and it kind of bothers me just because I'm so not used to seeing it. But it'll be dialogue, so it'll be like, da-da-da-da-da-da, Coco said, da-da-da-da-da-da, Velvet said, da-da-da-da-da, said. And so it'll just be character said, character said, character said.
Like, the reason why they do this, I'm assuming for kids,
for younger
is because
kids, so
if Hunter and I were having a conversation, a writer would drop Hunter after a while because you would understand who's talking after that, but maybe because there are multiple characters talking and it's obviously like.
But I've even seen it done with multiple characters. I do think because maybe this is the moment that I realized, like, oh yeah, RWBY is a kids show that'll be marketed to children who are not used to reading books like that. So I mean, obviously.
I mean, Tyrion calls someone a bitch, and there are all these sort of dark moments, right?
I guess, but at the same time, it feels like he was aiming for.
Here's what I think this falls into: RWBY and the book in general.
Maybe he was aiming at anime fans who don't read a whole lot.
No. I feel like kind of because in manga you know who's talking. There are speech bubbles, right? But I think that this is more Disney dark, and what I mean by that is there's enough dark that Disney will go, but not too dark for the kids. You know what I mean? Like in something like
Dead Mom.
Like the grandma dies, or I don't want to say the grandma, the wife dies, right? And that's like one of the things in Up. Or like Lion King, how Mufasa dies. Or in the Broadway musical for Lion King, and this was cut from the original, but Scar tries to fuck Nala. And so I saw that recently, and he tries to and she slaps him or something, and I'm like, you go girl, you know? So that's what I mean by Disney dark. Like, I feel like RWBY gets to Disney dark sometimes, where it's like, this is like people dying. That happens in Disney movies.
You mentioned Up, with that scene in Up where you see the old man. But it's like, they really take their
Notre
time.
Dame, or like Tarzan, right? Clayton strangles himself. That is probably, or Ursula getting like skewered by the ship. I would say that's as dark as Pyrrha getting shot.
I guess that's like a big dramatic. Yeah, I think those are both big dramatic. But with my stuff, it was almost like there was one scene that I can't mention.
But you understand what I mean. So I think that's where we're at. It's the Disney dark.
Yeah, there's one scene that involves Yatsuhashi that could have been really like almost jumped the mark to like very eerie and even horror-ish, if depending on how you did it. But they kind of kept it kid friendly. To a level, and obviously this book had different needs than I did, so it won't go that. It's just like
I didn't find that as much of a problem.
Yeah, that's just me. I mean, everyone's gonna have it differently. I felt that like some of the scaffolding in the books was odd. Like I feel like a lot of the characters didn't have much of an arc other than just reaffirming. Again. I feel like the end they kind of tied it up and like we reaffirm that we like each other, and we like it here, and we're going to keep on fighting.
I disagree with Hunter, but I can't go into it much without the spoilers. But I do think that they have a clear sort of problem at the beginning, and that is resolved at the end.
For Velvet.
I would say. For Velvet, Coco, somewhat. Yasuhashi, definitely. And then Fox, but
Fox seemed good with that. I feel
Fox seemed fine.
I feel
Fox
like
was the most fine out of everyone.
Personally, I mean, that's why Fox is the best character. But personally, I felt that I just feel like that conflict, I mean, it was after the fall, and the major conflict has to do with their kind of traumas after the fall. And so by the end of it, it kind of ties it up. I'm like, okay, that's good. It just didn't feel as all-encompassing in the team. Because everything before that felt like it was a team coffee book. But at the end, it seemed like it was tied up by Velvet. Yeah. And that's where I felt like it was uneven.
Yeah, I understand.
I still dug it, but I mean, ultimately,
that's your opinion. Like, that's a valid. Like, I'm not gonna be like, Hunter, your opinion's wrong. It's just I didn't personally find that problem. I should say I read this all in one shot.
Yeah,
Hunter
you have
read this with breaks.
Well, because I had shit to do, unlike some people I know.
I don't think that's gonna like hurt you guys' enjoyment, but to me, I almost read it like a movie. You know what I mean? Like, I read it all in one shot.
I had the inverse issue that I wish I could have read it at a slower pace.
I did. I was just like...
You were at it... Well, because you...
One of the RWBY YouTubers called me while I was reading the book. And we were in a call for an hour, and I was just silent because I was reading, and I was like, I'm almost finished. Just either go away or just stay here until I'm...
So if that didn't get you... Obviously, Cal likes the book. I really liked the book. Obviously,
I love the book.
There's this statement that, like, oh, if you liked RWBY, you'll like this, which is true, but I feel like you really need to appreciate that it's very good.
It
It's
is
better.
very
It's
good.
better than any of the other RWBY
This
spin-off
is a
stuff.
must-buy. Like,
It's-
the manga are not a must-buy.
You don't need to buy any of the
Right?
character mangas. You
Like,
don't
we
need
were
to
gonna
buy.
do reviews of that because we didn't think that this book would be out in time. So we had done, like, we were planning, like, 4 Genlock character reviews and the manga reviews. The manga are not a must-buy. Like, if you like RWBY, you'll have fun.
But it's
right?
like, it won't be good. Or like the video game. It's like, that story wasn't all that interesting.
But
this
This
book,
is really good.
and
It's
I feel like
phenomenal.
if you've fallen out with RWBY recent volumes, I feel like reading this book will like pique your interest again.
Yeah, definitely. It will definitely renew their interest. And there's a lot of new, and we're going to do a video on this separately, there's a lot of new canon elements, there's a lot of cool character stuff. Again, this is a non-spoiler review, so we can't exactly go into literally everything that I want to talk about.
It's
but
like, it's fanfare-y, but not aggressively fanfare-y. Yeah, they do make you do see Team RWBY, but they do still get them
and
things
let me
to
just
do.
say, Team RWBY is very well written. Especially
Yes.
there's a scene with Weiss, and I'm like, that's Weiss. You know what I mean? Like, that couldn't be any more Weiss. You know what I'm saying?
Or there was one scene with Glinda Goodwitch.
Yeah,
It was-
Glinda gets a lot of development in this book in a
It was-
very
it was-
strange way.
Yeah, it was interesting. And at the end of it, you're like, okay, like there's stuff for fans who liked the show. Obviously, the fact that it's a Team Coffee book, they took these side characters and really made them interesting.
I wonder how many people will read this and have never seen RWBY before. I'm really interested in
That's
those
the one
numbers.
thing when I'm like, this is for like the fans who are already in RWBY. I can't imagine there's a lot of people out there, because in the opening of the book, they do like the whole Babysitters Club thing where they explain to you each of the girls and their personality. They do that, but it's like, this is what an aura is. This is what a semblance is. This is what a huntsman is.
Yeah.
So you get the idea that they make
If
it
I was
accessible.
a mom and I was like, oh, I want to get my kid like some book, like,
Fantasy.
oh look, she has bunny ears. Like, that guy looks cool, he has a big sword, and, you know, after reading the back, like, oh, okay, that seems
But you do.
fine for my child. Like, I feel like that.
They would be
You know.
confused about, because they don't know what Team
Team
RWBY
RWBY
is and Team B. Like, they would, maybe, if they added 50 pages, but if they added 50 pages, maybe they could be like, all right, kids, history lesson.
Yeah, I don't think they needed
But
to
they
do
didn't
that,
need to
no.
do that, because really it's for the fans, and
It
I
is.
think the fans
I
will
think
really
it's
like
even
it.
for the vague RWBY fans. And
Yeah.
what I mean
or
by that
people
is,
who are interested in RWBY, I think.
yeah, like even the people that have not necessarily like gone as hard as we have, you know what I mean, like into fandom sort of stuff.
You could
Just like watch the first couple seasons. Maybe you dropped out around volume 4. You could still read that.
Oh, totally.
You know what I mean, or dropped out after volume 2.
And I think I think it's very good for piquing people's interest.
I think it is too.
So buy the book. It's like $10.
Buy the fucking book. Yeah.
It's
So
not
we
that
should have
bad.
talked about that. So it's $9.99 US. It's $12.99 Canadian.
I got it for $11 on Indigo.com.
And it says $7.99 in the UK. And obviously, like, this is just the Canadian US dollar issues, you know what I mean? Like, the
I'm
UK dollar, I
familiar.
think, is better, and that's why the price is lower. But yeah, so that's sort of it. There was one more thing I wanted to show you guys, and I don't want to show too much, because obviously these will be spoilers, but the book has really nice, like, little
Graphic
illustration, like, of
At the beginning
characters
of
and stuff
every
like that
chapter.
at the beginning of every chapter. So, yes, we love the book. We stand. Please send us one next time. Like, we will review it. We love it so much because I guarantee to you that there will be another
More
book.
of these. And I feel like they could do
I
really
feel like Team
interesting
Sun
stuff
is
with-
next. I feel like
I was
in
gonna
my
say,
heart
I was
and
gonna
soul.
say, if you see more of Team Funky and Atlas, that they're gonna do a Team Funky.
Maybe, but I feel like Sun is higher priority.
I guess Sun is
out
higher
of the
priority.
side teams, like we see Juniper, so they probably don't need one. RWBY doesn't need one, right? So out of the side teams, like I feel like Sun actually needed it more because Sun was around
I would-
the entire time.
I
with
thought-
Blake.
I
So
thought-
I would rank Sun, Coffee, and then literally anyone else.
I feel like a Roman Torchwick one would be really
yeah,
fun.
somebody else said that, and I was like, oh my god.
It could be like almost like
I would stand a villains one. We stand.
a
We would do
Fear
that.
and Loathing in Las Vegas kind of like solo film about how he became like a rough scrabbled kid to like
Yeah,
the
because you don't
lovable
need
criminal
that in
we
the
could-
show
No.
anymore, because he's dead,
Yeah.
unless Neo wants to go into how she met him, but that doesn't mean that we can't have a Roman story. So yeah, we have
Really
we have an
excited.
RTX prediction video planned,
Yes.
because we're going to talk about, a character short, what are they going to announce, like sort of stuff like that. But yeah, so that is it. This is our not spoiler review. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you guys later. Bye. I hope hope that you guys enjoyed the video. I'm just gonna take a moment here to thank our patrons over on Patreon and our Discord server moderators who are a part of our community. Pals at the $2 tier get exclusive access to our video scripts. They get exclusive access to our schedules, updates, polls, the live podcast, and the chat to ask questions for our monthly Q&A. They also get a name feature at the end of every video. At the beginning of every month, Pals will be able to vote for me to watch the first episode of whatever anime or cartoon that they want. This encourages us to watch some cool new anime that maybe we've never seen before, and if we enjoy it enough, we may put it up in a poll to replace one of our weekly show rotations. The Caterpillars at the $5 tier have access to all previous rewards, and they also have access to our videos a week in advance early access, so that's a week early before they are released onto YouTube. And there's also a special reward. Patrons at this tier will get access to an exclusive reaction series that'll be posted for patrons and patrons only. It will not be public to YouTube until after it's finished and another Patreon exclusive series has started. So basically, the patrons get their own anime reaction series of whatever anime that they vote for, and it's just for them. It won't be on YouTube, so it's totally for patrons and to the benefit of all of the wonderful patrons who support us at this tier. The Calxiyn have access to all previous rewards, exclusive access to our videos as soon as they're ready, and so in the past this has been, say, 14 days, so 2 weeks in advance, sometimes 30 days in advance, so like a month early, sometimes they've been 60 days in advance, so imagine getting to watch the videos on our channel basically 2 months before anyone else, because it does happen depending on how much Hunter and I pre-record in advance. They also have the ability to invite one of their friends into the Discord server without them needing to pledge on Patreon, so if you have a friend that loves the cartoons that we react to, or the anime we react to, or, the video games, cartoons, and anime we do discussion videos on, you can bring them as a part of our community without them having to need to pledge. But they also get a special reward, and this is 3 video tickets. So these can be used to request videos. 1 ticket equals 10 minutes, so if you guys have seen, we've done a lot of shipping video requests, we've done a lot of reaction requests that say pay Patreon video in the brackets, and so those are videos that patrons have used their tickets on to get us to do for them. The Calzones have access to the Calzone, which is a special reward for this tier that I'll explain in a moment, but they get access to all previous rewards. They get 6 video tickets, which would be long enough for, say, 2 anime episode reactions, or 6 10-minute videos, so 6 shipping videos, for example, 6 discussion videos if they're all 10 minutes long, and they also have the ability to invite 2 of their friends into the Discord server without them needing to pledge on Patreon. And they will also get access to the VIP chat since they are a VIP, and so that is where the Calzone comes in. The Calzone is our VIP text chat on Discord. We also do a monthly VIP-only voice call. Let's just take a small break here to thank the moderators on my Discord server. So they obviously help out a lot with moderating and setting up events for the community and just being, generally good parts of the community to have around. So I just wanted to include this little bit in between all the patrons to just sort of thank them for their work, thank them for helping out in my community, and all that sort of stuff. The Caltalists have access to all previous rewards, 15 video tickets, the ability to add me as a friend on Discord so I can go ahead and make a private group chat with them so they have direct private access to us, the ability to invite 3 of their friends onto the Discord server without them needing to pledge on Patreon. Those friends will also get access to the VIP chat as well, and their special reward is auto-hosting their live streams on my Twitch and being able to promote their videos in the Discord server. The Catastrophes have access to all previous rewards, 30 video tickets, access to my private Instagram, Snapchat, and a private group with just Hunter and I. They have the ability to invite 5 of their friends into the Discord server without them needing to pledge over on Patreon, and those friends will also get access to the VIP chat, since at the $100 tier you are of course a VIP. For the special reward, we would make videos and collaborate together, so we could write the script together, record the lines together, edit and post the video on my channel. They would be sort of credited, and all of their links would be posted in the description and all of that normal stuff that you would expect from a collaboration like this. But obviously it is a very special project because it would be, you know, from a patron, it would be sort of a community project, and that's why it's one of my favorite special rewards. So again, one big thank you to all the patrons over on Patreon who help keep the channel alive. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.